Tonight, WrestleMania Backlash takes place from inside the Youngling Center in Tampa Bay, Florida, inside the WWE Thunderdome. Man, I've got to tell you, WrestleMania Backlash, that name I really, really, really don't like. For me, and maybe this might be wrong, and you can let me know what you think in the comment section below. We've got a great community here, and it's all about opinion here on the channel, but I really don't like the WrestleMania Backlash name. Really don't. For me, unless it's WrestleMania itself, there shouldn't be any reference to WrestleMania in a name of a pay-per-view. It's almost a bit like, and maybe I'm looking too much into it, and it's too much of, oh, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, but it kind of feels like, doesn't it, that if you were a casual fan, and you didn't know that much about WWE, or you were just very, you were a little bit familiar on the periphery of WWE, and you heard that, oh, WrestleMania? I know WrestleMania. Most people that aren't pro wrestling fans know WrestleMania. They think, oh, what, WrestleMania's tonight? Oh, I'll watch it. And it's like, no, it's WrestleMania Backlash. And they've even got the WrestleMania logo in the WrestleMania Backlash name. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. It kind of, I don't know. I feel like it implies something to people that it's not, and just the WrestleMania name is kind of sacred, isn't it? And it shouldn't have a WrestleMania name in a pay-per-view that isn't WrestleMania. Nevertheless, that's not what we're talking about. I mean, we are talking about WrestleMania Backlash, in fairness, but what we're talking about in this video is the Raw Women's Championship, because that is going to be on the line tonight. We've got Raw Women's Champion Rhea Ripley defending the Raw Women's Championship in a triple threat match against Charlotte Flair and her WrestleMania 37 opponent Asuka. Now, this whole feud, this whole division on Monday Night Raw is at the moment a complete dumpster fire. Not in terms of the talent, we must stress that here, not in terms of the talent. Raw has some fantastic talent in its women's division, it really does. But the way that it's being booked is just bizarre. I mean, so bizarre and so bad, just real bad. So Rhea Ripley wins the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And I think a lot of people, myself included at the time, thought, great for me, and I think for a lot of people, we looked at WrestleMania 37 from the women's point of view of, yes, the writing was, and the booking was really bad going into it. It was a mess. It just was such a mess, and the storylines didn't make sense, and they really lacked logic, but people said, for better or for worse, irrespective of the storylines heading into the show, one of the positives is that it was kind of like WrestleMania 21. In the sense that you had the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship match crown two new stars for their respective brands. At WrestleMania 21, you had Batista win the World Heavyweight Championship from Batista. He was now the big new guy on Monday Night Raw. It was his first World Championship. And then you also had the WWE Championship. John Cena defeated John Bradshaw Layfield for SmackDown. It was his first WWE Championship. And in one night, you made two main event stars that were going to carry the brands for the years going forward. And I think people thought it was going to be a similar thing on the women's side of things at WrestleMania 37, in that you had Bianca Belair defeat Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So Bianca Belair's she wins her first World Championship or SmackDown Women's Championship on the main roster. She then is going to be carrying the women's division on SmackDown. And then on the Raw side of things, Rhea Ripley defeats Asuka. She's going to be carrying the women's side of things on Monday Night Raw. It's her first championship on the main roster. It kind of felt similar. There was parallels there. And several weeks out of it, in the same vein that I just did the video on the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Bianca Belair and Bayley. That's the SmackDown Women's division. Again, the way that it's written and booked is bizarre. Raw's just on another level of just bad booking and bad writing. Rhea Ripley, I'm worried for her. I am worried for Rhea Ripley. And the reason why is I know people will say, well, you can't say that Rhea Ripley isn't being booked well. She's not being written correctly, all that kind of stuff, because she's the Raw Women's Champion. And that argument might hold a bit of weight to it. But to be honest, it's a justifiable complaint that she's not being booked in the best way, because I don't know what she is. I don't know what she is. Is she a babyface? Is she a heel? I don't think anyone knows. I don't think Rhea Ripley knows. I don't think the producers inside the WWE Thunderdome know what she is, because 1 week on Raw, she's teaming with the then Women's Tag Team Champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who are heels, yet when she makes her entrance, the producers are telling the people inside the Thunderdome to cheer for her. Then the next week, she's getting booed, and she's feuding with Asuka, who's a babyface, and it kind of felt like prior to WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley had turned heel, so she was going to be a heel and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, and I don't think the producers know, and I don't think the WWE officials, the brain trust, the creative team or whatever, I don't think they know either. And you can be a tweener, I guess, for a while. You can be someone that maybe the Roman Reigns effect, they're not a good guy, they're not a bad guy, they're the guy, they're the champion, and all that kind of stuff. But with a new talent, that's fine with an established talent, and it's like the Steve Austin effect. He was a babyface, but he was always kind of a heel and all that kind of stuff. That's fine because it's an established talent. Rhea Ripley on the main roster, yes, on NXT, but on the main roster, she's not an established talent. And to establish a talent and get them over, they kind of have to be a babyface or a heel. And I know people might say, well, it's 2021. You can be a kind of a grey character. You can be both. Again, you can, but you need to be established first. We need to know the Rhea Ripley personality. We need to know the Rhea Ripley character, and watching it every week on Raw right now, I don't know what the Rhea Ripley character is. In NXT, I knew the Rhea Ripley character. When either she was a babyface or a heel, she was very distinct in who she was. The character didn't really change that much. It was the opponents, but here there is this real intangible quality that I just don't know who Rhea Ripley is. And I worry about that because she is so talented and she does have a real unique look and she is fantastic in the ring. But I worry that this might be another case of an NXT talent gets called up to the main roster. Wow, we've got to make some changes, pal, because we've got a different audience from that wrestling on NXT. We've got to make some changes because our audience is far more broad. So we have to make some changes so you can be accepted by a wider audience. No. Can we stop doing that with these NXT talents? Can we stop calling them up? And every time they get called up, we have to make changes so they can adapt to a wider audience. And then wouldn't you know it, they make all these tweaks and changes. And then next thing, they're unrecognizable from what they were in NXT. And that identity that they had in NXT made them popular in the first place. And it's this bizarre backwards booking of NXT talent that I just don't understand. The positive here, I guess, is that Rhea Ripley is the Raw Women's Champion. For how long, though, that remains to be seen. Because Charlotte Flair is involved in this one, and if Charlotte Flair is involved in the championship match, her record's pretty damn good. And if she's going to be involved, there is certainly a high chance she would win. The booking heading into this one and the creative is kind of strange as well. So initially, it was just going to be a WrestleMania rematch. You were going to have Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. Part 2, of course, Rhea Ripley defeated Asuka at WrestleMania, and people thought, okay, we're going to get the same thing. Charlotte Flair comes out, and of course, Charlotte Flair wasn't on WrestleMania 37. Which, again, this is just the craziness of especially Raw, but when it comes to the women's division, Charlotte Flair wasn't on WrestleMania because a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, actually I should backtrack even further than that, she was involved with Lacey Evans, and what it was going to be is, remember, Lacey Evans was scheduled to face Asuka at Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship. Lacey Evans was meant to beat Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, become Raw Women's Champion. She was involved with Ric Flair on WWE television at the time, and the storyline at WrestleMania 37 was going to be Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship, Ric Flair in the corner of Lacey Evans. What a great story that is. Amazing. Anyway, of course, that doesn't happen because Lacey Evans gets pregnant. So Asuka keeps the Raw Women's Championship, and then the plan is, okay, we're going to do Asuka versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 37 for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair's probably going to win. That might have been the plan anyway, considering when Charlotte Flair came back, she was tag team partners with Asuka, and they were the Women's Tag Team Champions. But then we subsequently find out, because Charlotte Flair just suddenly gets pulled off television, she disappears for a couple of weeks. We're going, what's happening with there? It's then revealed by Andrade when he gets released by WWE. There was a false pregnancy test or a false pregnancy diagnosis where WWE Medical said that Charlotte Flair was pregnant. She then goes to the local pharmacy and the local doctors. Turns out she's not pregnant, but during that period of time, she also contracts COVID, so she's out for 2 weeks. Now, she did recover prior to WrestleMania. She would have been allowed back on WWE television, I think it was a week before WrestleMania or a couple of weeks before WrestleMania. WWE instead decided, oh, too much time's passed and it's too close to WrestleMania to make changes and all this kind of stuff. You're not going to be on WrestleMania, which I'm sure she was not happy about, because why would you be happy about that? You would be so PO'd about that. Not just because it's WrestleMania, but also it was in front of fans. It was a big moment. And from a financial point of view, WrestleMania is the biggest payday of the year. It's your biggest payday. It's the biggest bonus. So to be off that show, you would be pretty furious. And then Charlotte Flair returns the following nights on Monday Night Raw, and she's got the different persona. That gone is the fun-loving, high-fiving, babyface Charlotte Flair. Now the queen, evil Charlotte Flair, is back, which, to be honest, kind of seemed a bit strange at the time, because when isn't Charlotte Flair that heel, realistically? They've tried to make Charlotte Flair a babyface on a couple of occasions, and it just doesn't work. For me, it just doesn't work. Charlotte Flair is a far better heel, She does annoy quite a few people, and she does great on people, but I don't have a problem with that if you're a heel, because that's your job. Your job is to make people not like you. This is kind of the problem with modern-day heels in pro wrestling, isn't it? That if someone does actually legitimately generate heat and that people don't like them, people view that as a bad thing, which is so backwards, because that's their job, that's what they want. But the majority of pro wrestling fans nowadays want to cheer everyone. They want to cheer the babyfaces, and they want to cheer the heels as well. Isn't it kind of the point that you don't want to cheer heels? But nowadays, I suppose that if you don't like a heel, they'll just change the channel. It's kind of strange in the sense, isn't it? But anyway, Charlotte Flair's a heel now, which is good, because that's what Charlotte Flair is. So initially, we were going to get a WrestleMania 37 rematch on this one. But Charlotte Flair petitioned and petitioned. She was attacking referees. She got suspended by Adam Pearce. And then Sonya Deville is now, I guess, an associate of Charlotte Flair, kind of, on Monday Night Raw. She appears on Raw wearing red suits because she's on Raw. And when she's on SmackDown, she'll wear blue suits because she's on SmackDown, right? And then Sonya Deville lifts the suspension. Charlotte Flair is no longer suspended. She also adds Charlotte Flair to the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash, because the WWE Championship match for the men's a triple threat match, so it should be the same for the females. So Charlotte Flair's added in. If that sounds convoluted to you, and you struggle to keep up with what I was just saying, you're not alone. Imagine watching this happen in real time every single week. Nobody knows what's going on. It's kind of, okay, we're going to add Charlotte Flair back. She's now a heel. Rhea Ripley, we're not sure what she is. Asuka's just there being Asuka. She's sort of this, I guess, clown at this point, that she sort of sings and dances and people don't really know what she's doing. You feel bad for her. It's just so messy. And that's the problem here. It's just so messy, and nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. There isn't much of a story being told, apart from Charlotte Flair is angry now, okay, and maybe has an association with Sonya Deville, which allows her to get opportunities on Raw. I don't know what is going on. And like I said, when it comes to the Rhea Ripley side of things, I don't know what's going on with her character either. And I feel sorry for her, because some of the promos she's had to cut on Raw, man, they've been bad. And they've been bad writing, but also, in fairness, I don't think the delivery's been amazing, but that's because the writing's so bad. It's just, you get the impression they don't know how to write for the Rhea Ripley character. And again, Charlotte Flair's, we don't really know what's going on with her. It's just a mess. This whole Raw Women's division is such a mess right now. The whole show, to be honest, Raw is such a mess right now. I mean, we'll talk more in depth about it when we do the WWE Championship preview video, but Raw is just, in general, it is a mess. It is so messy and so convoluted, and nobody knows what's going on, and it doesn't make any sense. The only thing I will say when it comes to this match, it does make it slightly difficult to predict, because when I did the Bianca Belair Bayley video, I said that it's pretty predictable. Bianca Belair, he will retain. I don't see why she would drop the championship so soon after winning it at WrestleMania. They're establishing Bianca Belair on SmackDown. It seems very likely that Bianca Belair will retain. I don't know if it's that obvious for this Raw Women's Championship match here. I really don't think it's that obvious, because Charlotte Flair's involved in this one. If this was a WrestleMania rematch, you would say, well, Rhea Ripley will win. She won at WrestleMania. They're establishing Rhea Ripley as a big star on Monday Night Raw, even though they don't know what her character is, if she's a babyface, if she's a heel, changing her promos and all that kind of stuff. Okay, they don't really get that, but they obviously see her talent and they're pushing her. That's a good thing. So Rhea Ripley would retain. Given the fact that Charlotte Flair is involved in this, and she wasn't involved in WrestleMania, and there probably were plans for her to win the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania, it's not out of the realm of possibility that she wins this match. There have certainly been matches in the past that people have gone into it going, there's no way, surely Charlotte Flair doesn't win this one, and she wins. Whether it's against Sasha Banks, whether it's against Asuka, whether it's against whoever, she's done that quite a few times in the past. And WWE, you know for a fact that WWE would be looking at Charlotte Flair and seeing her recent promos on Raw and seeing this new different character was meant to be an edgier version of Charlotte Flair. They'll look at that and they'll say, see, Charlotte Flair, she's hitting her stride again. She's getting back over. She should win the Raw Women's Championship tonight. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think social media is going to be really angry because Charlotte Flair wins tonight. So that's going to be my prediction. Even though I would prefer Rhea wins, considering it's so soon after winning the championship at WrestleMania, and considering at WrestleMania last year, Charlotte Flair defeated Rhea Ripley, and that was kind of the the real bad decision at the time that people didn't get, and it didn't do any favors for Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair or NXT for that matter. But I could see a scenario where maybe Charlotte Flair wins tonight and wins the Raw Women's Championship, maybe pins Asuka, and then they do a WrestleMania 36 rematch at either Extreme Rules or SummerSlam. And maybe that's when Rhea Ripley defeats Charlotte Flair finally and becomes the Raw Women's Champion again. So that's going to be the prediction on that one. But man, the women's division on Raw, it's such a mess. It's such a mess, and it's a shame because they've got so much talent there. But look, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the Raw Women's Championship match tonight at WrestleMania Backlash? Who do you think is going to win the match? Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, or Asuka? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Remember, we are doing a WrestleMania Backlash watch along tonight, so if you click that notification bell, you'll be notified when we go live for the watch along tonight and when we go live for the reaction stream after the show has gone off the air. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.